Hello there. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Marcia Butler. I'm the webinar director here at Advice Chaser, and we want to thank you for coming as you're filling in our webinar room. And before I introduce our guest, I need to do a bit of legal housekeeping. Advice Chaser, the host of this webinar, is not a registered investment advisor. We cannot and do not give financial advice. Today's presentation is for educational purposes only and cannot be considered advice for any person's individual situation. Advice Chaser regularly hosts informative webinars, such as this one, featuring a variety of knowledgeable professionals, many of whom are licensed advisors. Any opinions, ideas, jokes, or principles expressed by presenters are their own, and however true, funny, or interesting, are not endorsed by Advice Chaser. Please do not act on the information you hear today without consulting a qualified financial professional. We're thrilled to bring you today's educational presentation. We have a good crowd registered for this webinar, so we hope that it will be very useful to you. Attendees are muted, but we do encourage you to ask questions using the chat box. You can also leave any comments there. Let us know if you're getting good information today. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that on now. You should be able to chat with us. If you ask a question in the chat box and we're not able to get to it, go ahead and leave your contact information as well, and we'll make sure someone reaches out to you after today's event. We want this experience to be as educational as possible, so please don't hesitate to ask for clarification or expansion of the material. I'd love to introduce you to our presenter today. Let me get your picture up here, Ellen. Ellen DeLopp is an award-winning certified professional organizer and productivity consultant, and is recognized for her contributions in the industry and community. She has extensive experience in working with ADHD individuals and holds certificates of study in ADD and chronic disorganization, and is a member of the Institute for Challenging Disorganization. She works with families as a family manager coach, and she is currently the past president of the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals. She holds a bachelor's degree from Smith College and a master's degree in education from Boston College. Ellen's goal is to empower her clients by making a difference in their lives. And Ellen, we're glad to have you back. Good topic today. I know we were talking about it in the pre-show little chat that we do. Excited for this one today.
Well, thank you, Marcia, and thank you everyone who's here with me today. I am so excited to talk to you about how to make your day better. Hey, we are all having those days. Maybe it is you just got back from vacation, you're about to go on vacation. There's a lot of things that are going on, lots of exciting moments. We've just had a lot of graduations, wedding season is coming up. So it's easy to understand why we're feeling a little bit disorganized. So today we're going to talk some real strategies, practical ways for you to start your day a little bit better than it might have started out, or you might have thought it might go. So a lot of times people just jump into their day with their email. Whoa, Nelly, right? Because all of a sudden, everything is just thrown at you. So before you even start your day, if you're feeling disorganized, get your stuff together by making a to-do list. Now, a to-do list is really valuable because it's a brain dump. It's going to get everything out of your head. And even though you might feel a bit overwhelmed by that list, once you make it, it's still going to be a better guide for you than you might imagine starting your day without a list at all. So one of the things about this master list is you want to tackle this. We're going to talk about prioritizing in a minute, but you want to be sure all the tasks are on the list, so you know exactly what's due when, and just clearing out your brain so that there's nothing that's distracting you internally. Now, a paper list can be really helpful. I know a lot of us use digital lists, which is completely awesome, but sometimes paper is just, we're really agile at jotting things down. We can see things visually. Those of us who are highly visual find a paper list a little bit more rewarding to see everything together and to cross things off. So don't hold back if you feel like you want to do this on a paper list just to jumpstart your day and get a little bit more organized. Now, the value of this is not only it's going to clear out your head, but that gives you more focus for the day, is that you're not trying to recall all of those things over and over that should be just on your captured list. And one of the things I've noticed lately, and I was talking with Marche about it, is this sticky note enthusiasm that we're all having right now, because we're grabbing a sticky note, we're grabbing the back of a piece of paper, we're grabbing a paper plate, whatever's in your vicinity, and jotting things down. So no matter what.
I'm sorry, I'm so guilty of this. I have a paper plate with a note on it on my desk right now. It's embarrassing.
I love it. See, this is the truth of life. We're all trying to capture things in any way, shape, or form because we're so afraid we're going to forget things, which is because we're feeling disorganized. So I am so glad that your truth telling is sharing what life is really about, Marche. This is great. So at the end of the day, Marche is going to take that information from her paper plate and jot it down on her master list, because the goal is to get everything in the same place. And we're going to talk about what we do next in a minute with that master list.
Okay, so master list, as far as like where it lives, is this a paper master list, digital? What have you found that works for your clients?
So I really try to help my clients keep it all in a notebook, because the paper list, like, things don't escape from your view if they're in a notebook with a spine. If you're doing a digital task list, most of my clients are using notes in their phone, which is completely fine. A lot of people have really elevated their work to go on to like Notion, Asana, Trello, wherever it's most easy for you to capture the information. Do that, because there's no one perfect place to put a list. It's whatever is the easiest capture tool that you're going to refer to back later.
All right, just a second. I lost my place on the slideshow. Here we go.
Awesome. Now, frequent question. Now I have everything on my list. Now what? Okay. This is where prioritizing is really important. We can't do it all today, but what we can do is find the 3 most important tasks for the day, and then 3 most important tasks for the week. So you're going to go through your list wherever you have it and find 3 things you can accomplish. Now, sometimes those 3 things are just 10-minute tasks. There's something that's really easy to check off. Sometimes it's a baby step, and we're going to talk a bit about this a little bit later, about making things more manageable. So it might be the preliminary step to a project. It might be a few slides in a PowerPoint presentation. It might be the start of your grocery list. Whatever that is, just make that 3 tasks really manageable so that you can be sure by the end of the day you've actually successfully accomplished them. Then you want to be sure you can see them. And I hear this feedback from my clients all the time. They actually have a separate list that is wherever they can view it. It's likely on paper that is just sitting right next to their computer or their laptop, so that they know these things are my 3 priorities, so I don't get off task. Now, how do we prioritize? This is a question that is very sticky, because there's dates that help you prioritize. There's people that are asking things of you, like your colleagues, your family. That helps you prioritize. But often we have a sense of urgency about one task in particular. And that might be a longer term task that we just need to get started. We need to order sunscreen because we're going on vacation in a week. And even though Amazon might bring it overnight, which could happen, we want to be sure we don't leave without it. So the prioritizing is a little intuitive, but definitely refer back to your calendar, because those are the deadlines that you've already captured. And then just remember that if you skip this step, the prioritizing, you're not going to feel very organized today, because you're still going to feel like everything needs to be done all at the same time. So this is really important to go from the master list to the prioritized most important tasks, 3 most important tasks. I call them MITs. So. So on your list are things that other people can do for you. Woohoo! Let's not try to do it all, right? So we want to think, who can we delegate to? So some of those things are automated. We can go on and put like a subscription to something on our Amazon order that it comes regularly, that we don't need to have to think about it all the time. Who are the people around you? So sometimes we have assistants or virtual assistants. This is again where your trusted professional can come in. Who's the person that's going to meet with you, like your financial planner? Like, let's say on your list is long-term out. I need to meet once a month or once a year with my financial planner. Have them make the appointment with you. So then you're not responsible for the appointment. You've shared this responsibility. So there's lots of ways you can delegate just by having the trusted partner professionals that are working alongside you. That's often where an ADHD coach comes in, because they help you be accountable to delegating as well. Because I think many of us feel like, hey, I'm the only one who can do it. I know how to do it. Why would I delegate it to somebody? I'll just go ahead and do it. It'll take me less time. But actually, it does take you more time. It's distracting. And then you have gotten less things done in your day. So you want to also create a someday maybe list. So that list is the things that it's really nice if we could do that, or just in case I should do that, but it's really not a priority right now. So that little parking spot is really valuable for things that you're thinking just wishfully about and that are not necessarily something that has to be accomplished specifically for the goals you have. So one of my favorite tricks is clearing your workspace. Our workspaces can get so chaotic and have so many different things on them, and they really distract us as a result. As we look at this photo online here, we're looking at like such clarity. All we have is that little notebook that we're going to jot down our 3 most important tasks, our keyboard, of course, hydrate, very important. So we need to know, what do we really need on our desk? Just the tools that you use every day, maybe a family photo, so that we can keep it as clear as possible to keep us as focused as possible. And the trick to keeping this clear is to have a little clarity once a day to clear off this space. So that might be something you do at the end of the day. That might be the easiest end of the day task that you have, or it might be how you start your day, where you get everything back to where it belongs. For people who have, pens and papers, even just getting the pens back into the holder can help create clarity. So we did talk a little bit about how to make things more manageable, and breaking down large tasks into smaller ones has become a real lifesaver for a lot of my clients. For one thing, they don't put so much pressure on themselves to get things finished. And for another thing, they're feeling way more successful because they realize, I can get this baby step done and I'm in the process, I'm in the system of the workflow that I planned. So when you're thinking about breaking things down, I've worked with people in Outlook on this. There's a place for you to create the next step, or on your manageable task list, think about what's the one next step that has to be done. So in the David Allen process of getting things done, GTD, he always has you list only the one next step, not the biggest project like do taxes. It's find the medical documents. So be thinking about the one next actionable step that should be a part of your manageable task list. Now, it might be a little bit not what you're usually thinking is that I should take a break to get more stuff done, right? Because normally we're thinking, hit it hard, never get out of your seat, let's just keep pushing through. But taking breaks helps you think more clearly. It helps you recharge throughout the day, and so you're more focused, and that way you're more efficient. And I also think taking breaks helps you prevent burnout because you're not feeling so much stress and pressure on yourself. So Marche and I were talking about all the ways you could take a break and feel like I need a little refresh. So Marche, what were some of the ones that you came up with?
Oh, well, I work from home, so I have a dog, so walking the dog is a welcome break. And then also out on my porch, I have some potted plants, and I'm just like, I'm going to go water my plants. I'm going to go plant another couple of seeds. Yeah, so that's been a welcome break for me. That is not, I moved. And so unpacking a box would be technically like a different task, but that's not really a break.
Yeah.
I
That's
have
just
to,
switching brain, switching gears. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So even something like just getting hydrated, doing some jumping jacks, taking a walk outside, any of these things can give you the refresh that you need. But you do need to get up and walk around. I mean, I think that's why we all have that on our Apple Watches, how it tells us to stand up. So there's just movement that you need to do throughout the day that's going to help you do a better job and be more efficient and stay focused on your work.
We had a question come in, and I don't know that we're going to address this during the webinar, but I think it's a good one to ask. This is a question. I struggle with distractions such as emails, phone calls, instant messages throughout the day, keeping me from my tasks. If I delay responding to the message, coworkers get upset and resend, or even worse, they show up unannounced at my cubicle.
Whoops.
Yeah, what do I do about that? I can see that happening. Even at home, I've got people I live with, and they do show up sometimes unannounced. I'm in the middle of things as well.
So sometimes it's kind of creating a culture shift with everyone because everyone's feeling the same thing you are. They're feeling the pressure of interruptions at all times. So I talk a lot about a time blocking strategy called the power hour, where it might not be all day that you have undistracted time, but if you share with those you're working with collaboratively, let's each have a power hour. So it's just a 1 hour time segment, hopefully earlier in the day, because a lot of us are morning people, not like 7 a.m., but around 10 a.m. And also just don't start with your email if you can possibly avoid it, which I know is super hard for people. But spend that first hour getting organized, knowing when am I going to work on the really deep and difficult stuff, and then go into your email. So a lot of it is creating a culture shift with the people you work with that, and knowing that you're going back to email 3 times a day is what I also suggest. Like, email should not be a continuous stream throughout the day. Try to designate 3 times a day that you're going in and out of email to respond to people. And then in email, if it's a project you're working on, set aside a time with your colleagues that you're working on the project with to go through, okay, where are we on this? Are we going to report back at every meeting? So managing the project a little bit differently. So there's a lot of different steps that have to do with creating that undistracted time. Oh, you're on mute. Sorry.
I was going to say, I did have one person that I worked with in a couple of years ago, and she had an auto email response that says, I check email at 9, 12, and 4. And I want to get back to you, but it was just, so you got a response right away, and it was a communication right away. And that was, I thought, was really effective with and of course she responded, but I thought that was a really cool trick.
Yes,
And
that automation.
yeah. And so much of us are on, an instant messaging program like Slack, or like I am like a messenger. And so we are expected to respond right away, which is part of our job. So I guess for me, it's knowing like where those messages are most likely, like when it's going to be the high traffic, and not to do tasks that require a lot of my brain energy during that time. That's what I've tried to do. I've recently started doing more heavy lifting projects in the morning when I know most of my colleagues are not on yet. So
Yeah. What I find too, Marcia and I talked about this, the end of the day is not really a good time to be thinking, I'm going to wrap everything up and catch up with everything, because you're really tired at that time. So anytime you can schedule something earlier in the day, it's better. Marcia, have you ever collaborated with through Slack with people that say, I'm going to be off the grid for an hour, I'll get back with you? Has that helped? Any ways? managing the discussions?
I haven't, if I'm doing something, you can actually change your status to where it says, you're not available until this time. I know there's probably some automation tools that hasn't been a problem as far as where my team is, but that is an idea, is to maybe have some sort of auto notification that will let people know. It will sync with my calendar, so anytime I have an appointment, it does show that I have an appointment. So
Yeah, when people are working from home now, it's completely different from when people worked in an office, because at that time, I recommended actually closing your door and putting a sign, I will be back available at this time. So physically people might approach your door, see it shut, and then come back in an hour, because they were pretty respectful of that. But now that everyone's working from home at different hours, at different times, the other thing is, if you see that consistently one project or one person is having that struggle where they seem to be really trying to do things at the last minute, and that's when it's time sensitivity, see if you can help them figure out how to manage that project better, so that they can have less stress for themselves and less stress for you as well. So
okay, and I will say to our person who gave in that question, if any of these suggestions helped, go ahead and leave that in the chat. We're happy to expand if need be. All right, let's go back into these slides.
So setting achievable goals is something I think most of us are highly optimistic about what we can get done in a day. And sometimes we even think, if we just line up our calendar right, back to back to back, our day is going to be wonderful. But it's very much like not very realistic, because everything happens every day now, and we know that. So one of my clients referred to as mini fire drills. So we need to be really realistic in achieving the goals we set out for the day. So let's set ourselves up for success by being really specific about what we want to accomplish in a day, making it measurable. So a lot of times we're doing things that are not very data driven in the work we do. So we need to think about, hey, is that justified, me doing that task or trying to get these things done in a day? Achievable. So is this something that I need to do by myself? Is this something I need to achieve with a team? Relevant. Like, there's lots of great ideas out there, but are they all great ideas for what you need to do today? And then time-based. Everybody needs deadlines. Everybody works best that way. So when you're thinking overall about the work you do and the plans you're making, just be really smart about the planning, even before you go into the execution. So a lot of times we don't really know how long things are going to take, and we are really underestimating how much time we should allocate. So using a time tracker can help us not only feel like more comfortable, yes, it really takes this amount of time, and if I do it more quickly, I'm having more errors. So the tools like Rescue Time on your computer can help you say, how much time have I been spending on each of these projects? And is that something I want to allocate that amount of time to? There's a saying, your work expands to fit the time you give it. So as a result, it's sometimes important to know, how much time do I want to give this? How much time is it valued at in terms of the importance for the work I do or for my family? Another activity that I love is using timers. And timers are spread out through everyone's home and workplace by not only they're on our phones, they're on the clock in the kitchen, lots of digital timers and a visual timer called the time timer. So timers can be used for a variety of ways. They can help you get started on a project. They can help you move more quickly through a project. They can help you with all of the tasks that have to do around your house. Set a 10-minute timer to tidy. Give your kid a 10-minute timer for video games. Not really, we know that's really longer. But these are the ways that timers can reinforce the success that you want to have, and also act as an accountability factor for you and your colleagues and your family.
Can you talk about the Pomodoro method? That's kind of the picture we have here.
Yes, I love the Pomodoro method. It is named after this tomato timer that you see in the picture. And the thought behind the strategy of the Pomodoro method is that it's a sequence of work times and break times. So that really fits well with our break concept, right? So you set the tomato timer for the allocated time you want to spend. Most times people set it for 20 minutes. Then they take a 5 or 10-minute break. Also use the timer because the timer reminds you, come on back, we're still working. Set the timer for another 20 minutes, another break, and then a final strategy of 20 more minutes. So in effect, you've done an hour's worth of work with breaks to help you stay on top of your task. And also it felt relatively easy because you did it in manageable chunks. So you don't need to have the tomato. You can have any timer. The tomato is probably available easily though, I'm sure. And the tomato's kind of cute. So Pomodoro, I think that's an Italian word for tomato, right?
I
Am
think
I
so.
right, Marcia?
I think I know it means tomato, but I'm not quite sure if it's Italian or not. I'll look that up.
Okay.
I have a personal experience with this. Maybe a couple years ago, I decided I was just going to time everything. And so I timed how long it took me to, get dressed in the morning, how long it took to take a shower, and it's not like I rushed or anything, but now I know, like, if I want to clean the bathroom, it's going to take me an hour. I
Yeah.
know that if I want to do a certain task at work, it always takes me about 20 minutes. If I want to do this, and it's really helped because I also know, like, if I'm doing a certain project, oh, that always takes me an hour and a half, no matter what. So I can allocate the amount of time and give myself a little leeway. So, an hour 45 or 2 hours, because if I'm tired, it's going to take me a little
I
longer.
am so grateful you shared that because that is such an important part of this is knowing how much time do things take. And without your research there, you would have had no idea. You had been guessing all over the place. Does that take 5 minutes? Does that take an hour? Because usually we have a feeling something's not going to take any time at all, or it's going to take forever, right? We have the two ends of the spectrum. So now having that knowledge, so I think everyone needs to do that research at their house and figure out how much time does it take you to do the different tasks that you're doing and at work, because an expense report is often the what people get really tripped up on because they don't know how long it's going to take. And so then they postpone. And once they do it, it does take a lot longer. So breaking it into a manageable chunk, like if I just get all the receipts together, where are all the receipts? So yeah, super
Yeah.
helpful.
And I need to do it again. It was really instructive. It was I think I spent 2 weeks really doing that. It was very instructive. And I used it, like a free timer app where I could label everything and just use my phone to start and stop it. So that was really fun. And I still do time myself on some things just because I want to know I want to know the information.
Yeah, it's really
By the way,
helpful.
cooking dinner always takes me about 30 to 45 minutes.
That's great. See, there you go.
Yeah.
I used to love that. There was an ad years and years ago when we first started having online banking, and the lady was running her bathwater and she was paying her bills. And I thought, oh my gosh, that is not going to work. That's not an equivalent amount of time. So distractions are everywhere. Let's just face it. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's semi-intentional, like I'm jumping over to social media. It doesn't matter, like it's Slack, it's email, it's someone coming into your space, it's someone with a last minute request. So it's very hard to eliminate distractions, but you can minimize distractions by being as communicative as possible ahead of time, being very intentional. When you need a break, don't just jump over onto Facebook. Go take a walk, get a drink, keep away from the things that you know that will take you down paths that are going to take you a lot longer to get away from than you might have thought. And then in your space, we've already talked about clearing out your desk so it's not as distracting. Wearing headphones for noise. I find people are very easily distracted by noises, and headphones and fans are often really good noises that help you be more productive. And even like a fan at night. I've heard so many people talking about the ambient noise of brown noise, pink noise, all the different kinds of noise that help you sleep better. And then if you have any kind of out of office, like Marche suggested, it's just a great tool, automated wise, to help you reinforce, I need this time to focus. So, I think some of the simple things that we used to think about, like turning off your notifications. Some people have even said on your phone, go to airplane mode so that you don't get some of the notifications as well. So just think about all the creative ways you can eliminate distractions that are going on for yourself.
Yeah, I've done this myself just because also I'm online all the time doing webinars and talking with advisors and other speakers and here at Advice Chaser. I found that if I turn all my notifications off, I can decide when I engage with my phone, engage with my email, engage with those kind of things. So that's been really helpful. Now, if I lose my phone, there's no notification, I can't find it. So that is one drawback.
And then I just want to encourage you all to take self-care to the next level. Being kind to yourself is the most important thing right now. We have a lot we're unfolding still post uncertainty that has gone on. And so we want to say that, you know what, if it's a bad day, it's okay to walk away at noon. Like maybe that's an indication you need a little bit more self-care than you might have thought. Think about every situation as a learning experience rather than a failure, because we're all learning a lot right now still. And we have to be thinking about, how can I put this to good use? And just be sure you get a good night's rest. Be sure that you're hydrating, eating properly, getting exercise. Exercise is a huge mood booster in addition to taking care of yourself. So all the ways that you can be optimistic, surround yourself with positivity, and just be taking time off from your work. Take the vacation that you would like to take, and be sure that you're not overloading yourself with your own very high expectations of yourself. So I hope you'll take one of these ways today and just think about how you can make a better day for yourself.
Absolutely. Well, we have some time for questions now, and I'm going to go ahead and get into a couple of these. If you have more questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. We'll try to do as many as we can today. Okay, what are your thoughts on putting all your priorities on your schedule as an actual appointment?
I love that. I totally believe in time blocking. I think that in order to create the best possible outcome for the week is to put tasks during a weekly planning time onto your calendar. It eliminates decision making. So no longer do I need to think about what am I doing during my power hour. It also helps your priorities inch forward. And even the things that don't seem urgent, things that are recurring, I always recommend having like a monthly expense report time, a monthly financial review with your family, like where are we in our spending, like what are our goals for our finances. So we tend to be a little bit more reluctant sometimes to add them to our calendar because we might feel a little anxious or fearful about them, but recurring appointments with yourself are good. Yes.
All right. And then you mentioned rescue time. What is that? Someone wanted to know.
It's a free software on your, I think it goes on all your devices, but I know it goes on your computer. So it tracks the sites, which I know people feel uncomfortable about because everyone's worried about, our devices being tracking a lot of information about us. But it's been really valuable because it will tell you how much time you're not doing the work you think you're doing, as well as what you're spending your time on. So it shows that by knowing which programs you're working on for the durations of time. So at the end of the week, it'll send you a report that says, here's where you spent time on your computer.
Interesting. And I know there's other apps that do that. So that's not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here's another question. And this question is similar to the kind of personality I have. So said, I'm a project person. I don't really like doing steps. I like doing all of the steps all at once and getting the whole project done. But I know that makes it so that I delay a lot to get projects done. Can you talk about how to best, satisfy that project person to getting
Yeah.
that breaking into chunks?
Yeah. So sometimes we just need to allocate a very large time block to doing the kind of work we do. Some of us are the kind of people that we don't like to jump from thing to thing. And we want to have a 2 or 3 hour time block to get that work done. So then you need to truly minimize as many distractions as you can, and as the baby steps are the preparation that leads up to actually doing the work. So you don't take time away from being more productive on that project. So yes, it's very much so. I find that if you're the kind of person that likes to have a long time for projects, you just need to be very intentional about how you set up your calendar to do that.
All right. Someone asked, is there a way to involve a buddy in getting some of these things done that I don't like?
Yes, absolutely. Look around. Who does something better that you don't think you do very well, or who likes to do something that you don't like to do at all? And see if you can enlist a collaborative effort with them, whether that's at work or at home. I think Marche has some systems that we were talking about beforehand that, they partner up on different household pieces, but this can work at every level. It doesn't have to work just at home.
Yeah. I mean, what are meetings at work? They're the same kind of like checking in, making sure where we are. I use my meetings with my colleagues to really get on top of certain things that I need to make sure, we're keeping on top of every week. And that's one of the agenda items every time. And I wouldn't probably do it on my own if I didn't have that support there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And then one more question here. Have you found that there are more productive times of the day for some people? And then what do you suggest for the less productive times of the day? What sort of tasks?
That's a great question. So there's something called chronotype. So look it up, and it talks about what time of day you do your best work. So clearly you should match your most challenging work with your best time of day. And then depending on when you're least productive, think about things that are very manageable and easy to do that, for everyone, it's really different. For me, I find tedious things at the end of the day, pretty much let's just check off the list. So that feels really rewarding. So that might be entering information into a spreadsheet, just not very mindful, less engaging, just I know how to do this job and just let's do it. So think about what those things are for you. Sometimes people put professional development in the less busy times of the day. Some people have to do CEUs, so they find that they enjoy reading, watching a video, the video you answer questions at the end, that kind of thing. So it really depends on what you find to be less engaging and easier.
Very interesting. Well, folks, that's all the time we have today. And we want to thank you for being here. And we want to thank Ellen and the organizations that have made this webinar possible today. Look to an email with a link to the replay of this event, and you're welcome to share that with friends and family. Here at Advice Chaser, we're all about helping you find a financial advisor who's a great fit for your life and your financial questions. Our matching service is free to you, and every one of our advisor partners has committed to offer a free initial consultation to anyone we introduce them to. Find out more by going to advicechaser.com and clicking on the link to find an advisor. We're getting some thank yous in the chat, and we really appreciate you folks being here. We hope to see you at another webinar soon. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.